Hey y'all. So, I kind of got a little smirk on my face because today is the day my daughter, who is carrying the next generation of Team Go Twins, found out what she was having. Now, she is many generations in of fraternal twins, and she is carrying fraternal twins. This has nothing to do, by the way, with the video that I was about to shoot, but I got this news, and so I'm sharing. So anyway, she's many generations, about the sixth generation in of fraternal twins on my side of the family, runs every generation. She is having fraternal twins and found out the sex of them today. All the sets of twins so far have been a girl and a boy. She was committed to trying to will herself into having two boys. As it turns out, they think she's having two girls. So, of course, that's hilarious to me. So she did do the one part where she was insisting she was going to be different. She wasn't going to have boy and girl twins. She wasn't going to have male-female fraternal twins. So she did that part. Now, but she didn't get it all what she was hoping, because she already has a daughter and she thought she'd get two sons out of this deal. Sucker! So anyway, that's our great news for our family. But other than that, I was originally going to make this post because a lot of people are concerned about, what I keep hearing this phrase, what are our demands? And I can't say that I'm honestly weighing in on that, simply because no one person can weigh in on that. I think it's important for Black people to understand that we are a diverse people, and not unlike any other groups of people. We can't expect one person to go to a table and negotiate on our behalf. And so I will share what I think is pertinent about what's currently at hand. The most pressing issue, I'm going to save the most pressing for last. Let me do that. I'll say what I think is the most pressing for last. I do want to say, first and foremost, that sacrifices will be made. Sacrifices come in the face of any struggle or resistance. We have to understand that if we are acknowledging the deep level of oppression that we've been experiencing, there will be deep cuts and deep levels of sacrifices. I said day one, when I weighed in on what had happened in my city, that people will be hurt. There will be loss of property. There will be injuries, and there will be loss of life. That is the nature of resistance. And I don't think anyone should go into this believing that there is a way for us to move forward to find genuine liberation without sacrificing those things. So while I can respect people's efforts and attempts to try to keep protesters from being injured, the truth of the matter is there's no way for that to happen. There's no way for that to happen. And I have to tell you, in the face of all this curfew stuff, and I don't want people to think I'm defiant just for the sake of being defiant. I'm pushing back against the curfew because it's too much, number one. It's not for our protection, number two. It is just another means of violating who we are as individuals, all of us, no matter your race or religion. The reality is, if you are having conversations about race relations and Caucasians are not uncomfortable, you're not having a conversation about race relations, disparities. You're not having a conversation about brutality, systemic racism. You're not having conversations that you should be having. No one should leave that room comfortable if you're having honest dialogue about race relations in this country or in the world. So that's one thing. And so trying to have these people stand in front of protests or stand in front of movements or even talking to your general politicians on behalf of Black people is damage control. It's crowd management at best. If your open enemy, and at this point these politicians are everybody's open enemy, if they're comfortable talking to the people that they keep pulling into the forefront of the protests, into the limelight of these protests, because I've seen that happen. where groups of people can show up and then they'll put a bullhorn in somebody's hand or they'll drag somebody to the front. The people they're comfortable talking to are not the people you want talking on behalf of the people. So I want to say that. Another thing that has been apparent, but that we need to take a closer look at, there needs to be a statewide policy, a national policy, where every law enforcement personnel needs a clinical psych evaluation. This is more than saying the police are crazy. I'm telling you, the occupational hazard of doing that work for long periods of time damages their psyche. There is a culture of hatred that exists among law enforcement that makes them unable to calculate outside of the psychotic mentality that I see them functioning with. I've seen it up close and personal, and I'm saying this from a genuine occupational clinical standpoint. I'm not even talking from the viewpoint of me as a resistor. I'm not talking from the standpoint of me as an author. I'm talking from the standpoint of my professional opinion is these people should be required to have clinical psych evaluations performed by certified clinicians who have been certified through not just this surface diversity training, but actual cultural clinicians and therapists. That should be a requirement, and they should have to do this annually. The same way many of us have occupations where we have to do CE hours to keep our credentials up to par. Honestly, I don't care how it sounds to you. Law enforcement officials, law enforcement officers on every level should have to do CE therapy. They should have to renew that shit every year. They should have to do so many hours, and they should have to have a psych evaluation at least every 2 years. That's another thing. I tried to make a note. Yeah, I did make a note that this is important. You've got a lot of people who bring up black on black crime when they're talking about police brutality. And usually those are black folks that say that. A lot of times we get pissed when we hear that. But I'm going to say this. Black on black crime and police brutality are two different things. Being killed at the hands of a law enforcement officer, overseer, police terrorizer, goes largely and grossly unpunished. And those people are paid by tax dollars and supposedly trained to handle the jobs they do. Their behavior pattern shows you the training is shit. That is very different than black on black crime, which is no different than white on white crime, but I don't have to speak for their community. Most communities have homogenous crimes because those are the people you're around. It's not because you seek out those people. That's just who you live near. But black on black crime happens, but it doesn't happen unpunished. Largely, the black on black murder rate is so high because they're either crimes of passion or retaliation. In most neighborhoods, if there's a crime committed in your neighborhood, there's also an additional crime because there's a retaliation for that crime. So black on black murder, black on black crime often does not go unanswered, and it most certainly does not go unpunished. That. Do for self. I have to reference my notes because I pinned them up there so I would remember to do this today. Do for self. That is a huge pushback against systemic racism. Do for self. Grow your own food. Get up and do for self. Get with a network of people and exchange skills. Support black businesses. Support black professionals. Become an entrepreneur if that's your thing, or support one if it's not. So doing for self is a huge pushback against racism. I'm not opposed to other people sticking with their own. I think that's what they should do. I applaud them. In fact, I would love to see more of us do the same. I want to see more of us pull one another up into positions, even if it's just your occupational position. I want to see y'all pull each other up a corporate ladder if a corporate environment is your thing. I want to see us cultivate and groom the next generation of professionals, whatever those occupations are. And the most important thing that I think is important is, if you do not understand why black people are acting the way we are currently behaving, and you are black, you are grossly out of touch. And I don't care what your occupation is. I don't care if you are a politician or a plumber. You are grossly out of touch. Turn the fucking table over. We've got to stop with the revisions and the reviews. You got to stop standing in front of these hunkies talking about, we demand revisions to these policies. We demand there be an independent review board. Fuck reviewing it. Fuck the revisions. The whole thing has to be stripped down to nothing. Start again. Because it was originated with us being under the thumb of oppression. So you can't rewrite that paragraph for me. You can't rewrite that policy and it'd be good for me. You'll need a new policy. Turn the table over. Nobody sitting at that table should be okay saying, I'm adding a voice of the people. Turn the fucking table over. So that's what I wanted to add as my update for today. I know I did one earlier, but this I felt like was a serious thing. And there are many of us who can unwittingly, in our sincerity, be helping an agenda that does not serve us well. So that's my take. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. My cornbread is in the oven and I smell it. I'm ready to get to it. Peace and love, y'all.